The numbers in this AI build-out are just incredible. So OpenAI plans to invest at this stage roughly $400 billion US to launch new data centers in partnership with Oracle and SoftBank. This is all part of a government-backed, US government-backed AI venture called Stargate. Let's get more from Angelo Zino, Senior Equity Analyst at CFRA Research. Angelo, thank you very much for joining us. It just never seems to end, does it? The ramp of this AI spending.
Yeah, no, Andrew, thanks for having me. And you're absolutely right. I mean, you kind of start looking at the numbers here, and it's just absolutely incredible, whether it be Stargate that we're talking about, which, has a $500 billion pipeline, whether it be what we just heard earlier this week between OpenAI and Nvidia, which is complementary and additional to this Stargate initiative, and that's going to have up to 10 gigawatts of capacity as well. Or if we're talking about the likes of an Alibaba out in China, where we've heard just news that they're also going to increase their planned spending amount here over the next 3 years. That was something that they just announced. So these are all essentially many ways intertwined. But I think the one thing that investors should keep in mind is the infrastructure build out is absolutely amazing, but it's happening because demand is actually growing a lot faster than anybody had anticipated. And then the need for compute as a result is growing as the days go on.
ChatGPT now apparently used by 700 million people weekly, and I got to admit I'm getting addicted. If I'm reading a difficult book now, I just take a picture of the page and open it. Whatever AI I'm using will explain the reference to me. It's pretty amazing. You think that Oracle will be among the big winners here? Why is that?
We do, and to your point, I mean, I'd say I'm getting addicted as well. And when you think about the Gemini, and I'm more of a Gemini power user, but when you think about the consumer in itself, I mean, usage rates again are going through the roof on the consumer side, right? Mm-hmm. Alphabet's a great example of that. With Gemini, I think the usage rates have gone up essentially 100x in the span of the last 15 months in the needs for compute on that platform. When you think about Oracle here, Oracle, they're very unique in nature in the sense that they're at the forefront of this AI infrastructure build, but they're also a big player on the application software side, where they're building tools for the enterprise space. So we think they're going to be a winner on a number of fronts. Right now, it really is the infrastructure story. About 22% of their revenue comes from these AI infrastructure builds. We think within the span of 5 years, it's going to be about 70% of their revenue. Their visibility is absolutely incredible when we start thinking about the next 5 years. And again, anything else that we see here over the next couple of quarters and years in terms of additional bookings is something that's not in the numbers at this point in time. And for instance, recent news about Oracle potentially teaming up with Meta platforms and getting some of their capacity. That's stuff that we don't think is in the numbers at this point in time. So visibility is very good, and they are at the forefront and kind of in the middle of this massive AI infrastructure build, and Stargate is a big reason for that as far as the Oracle partnership is concerned.
I'm just wondering though, what if it turns out AI doesn't, they refine the programming, it doesn't need as much computing power as they thought?
I mean, that's always a risk, right? I mean, I think right now that when you look at AI and you kind of think about the risks tied to the AI infrastructure build, there is, there are a couple of things out there. One, is the demand actually going to be there as you build this? And I think that the answer to that is yes, just based on what we're seeing in terms of consumer usage. Again, I kind of pointed to some of the demand increases that we've seen just on Alphabet's platform. It hasn't trickled down to the enterprise space yet, right? Once we see that massive inflection and greater usage on the enterprise side, that's really where things get super interesting. It's now, we are starting to see some signs that that's happening. We've seen the likes of, Salesforce and even others come out here in recent weeks talking about this pivot towards more and more enterprises, inflecting and going mainstream in terms of some of their AI capabilities. But again, still early days. And to your point, I mean, the demand needs to be there. And that is a risk that's out there. We think it's not necessarily whether or not the demand is going to be there. It's all going to be about the trajectory and, whether or not it's, maybe it takes a year longer or not for it to take place. But it's going to come. And as a result, we don't think that's the big risk. The bigger risk probably is some of the bottlenecks that are out there, specifically the electricity needs to power these data center builds, right? And I think that right now is probably the biggest concern, probably more of a 2027, 28 concern, but something that investors should be keeping an eye on.
I mean, it seems weird that they're quoting the capacity of these things in the electricity that they're going to burn, not teraflops or something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the cost is going to be, absolutely insane. But, one thing that we've learned from the tech industry over the years is when there are bottlenecks, when there are problems, they always find a way to meet those bottlenecks, especially when you've got the type of money and momentum and, revenue tied to, what we're seeing from this AI infrastructure build. So, ultimately, we think a lot of the hiccups that are out there, uncertainties tied to these bottlenecks, they're going to be met. The question is how and to what ability.
Angelo, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Angelo Zino, Senior Equity Analyst at CFRA Research.